to the final day of LEC 2023 Spring Group Stage live from Berlin, Germany. 2 playoff tickets are on the line today as we're kicking off the day with Astralis facing off against the Mad Lions, followed by G2 versus Kobbe in an epic rematch for the final spot later today. As we see the team arriving in the studio, I'm Laure and I will be joined by Broxa and Andrew for this ready check. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great. Ready for the games today, and just don't get confused. Today's the last day of the group stage. Tomorrow starts the playoffs for us. So BO5s all over the board.
Absolutely.
I'm pumped.
End of best of 3, best of 5 tomorrow. But let's remind ourselves of yesterday's game and the craziness that unfolded, especially with the Fnatic versus Mad Lion series. But there's a catch here. However, we're not allowed to use team names, champion names, abilities, and we also have some words for each of you sent by our fans on discord.lec.gg that we need to incorporate.
That's my comfort zone. I'm great at that.
I have no idea how this one's
nervous, not gonna lie.
Okay, Broxa, you start. Fnatic versus Mad. Okay, you know what? I won't play. I will just let you do however you can. The words are fumble, pandemonium, and omega lol.
I don't even know what the middle one means.
It's like craziness, chaos,
yeah. Okay,
mayhem.
Okay, I'll work it out.
Okay, so
I'll figure something out.
Fnatic versus Mad yesterday. Good luck.
Okay. As long as production promises to zoom in on my face at the end when I say the final word, we're good. Anyways, it was a crazy series with these 2 teams. We obviously had the Spanish Lions on one side, we had the black and orange on the other, and there was a lot of craziness happening. In the second game, we saw the support from black and orange going crazy, grabbing people left, right, and center. Eventually, the Swedish boy from the bot lane started popping off on the boomerang lady, the feather lady as well.
Nice.
And eventually, we saw a little fumble. We saw this moment right here on our screens where ultimately black and orange decided to give fans false hope, as they tend to do sometimes. They were on the Nexus, they failed, everything fell apart. The Lions slowly but surely managed to find their way back. Their AD carry.
Nice.
Actually managed to break records here with his rockets. 19 kills, the highest ever we've seen in an LEC game so far. Pure pandemonium, absolutely crazy series. And to cap it up, finally, omega lol.
A classic.
Well done,
Honestly,
well
you
done.
did so well. You did so well. It's not easy
stressful.
to do. Okay, up next, Ender for G2 versus SK. Ender, your words are Canyon, Spike, and of course, weird champ.
I mean, it just makes a little bit too much sense. I feel like this one's going to be pretty easy because, of course, you had the Short Kings up against that team that didn't make the partnership league in G2. Oh, I didn't say that one. Anyways, it all started off with Pikachu going absolutely nuts in the top lane, in the bot lane. The top laner for that one former Valorant team showed up in a big way in this first game, reminded the enemy team that you had to take notes. Then in the second game, we had the Void Worm in the jungle going absolutely nuts down on the bot side. I mean, this was an absolute canyon performance in the jungle position. I think the young gun for this team showed up in a fantastic way. I mean, dodging away from the baby cage there, slipping and sliding in and out, looked absolutely fantastic. It definitely caused his champion to spike in the game. With all those early kills, was carrying it throughout it all, and in a very similar fashion to how you closed it out. That was some analysis. Weird champ.
Got him.
I think Broxa did better than you, but okay, that's just made. But let us know also in chat what you thought of this one. Let's focus back on the league though, and take a look at how the groups look now. Reminder, Vitality and BDS tomorrow for a spot in the spring finals. Best of 5, as we said, but that's the story for tomorrow. But today's series will determine which 2 teams are starting in the lower brackets. Any couple words on what happened yesterday, and maybe surprises on the games we had, Broxa?
I think the Mad versus Fnatic series. Now I just realized I can actually say the names.
Use the team's names. It's fine.
I think in a lot of ways it was a surprise how the game went, in the sense that the game quality wasn't the highest, but that's also part of what made it so enjoyable and entertaining to watch. You could really see the pressure getting to the 2 teams. And on the other hand, G2, they were really angry and they were back.
Yeah, G2 looked fantastic and they were not messing around. I mean, they had a wild draft in game 2, but like seeing Yike back on the Belveth a treat to watch.
Some cooking on the side of G2. We see what these teams cook today, but yesterday's results also had big implications when it comes to championship points. So we have Medic standing by to run us through the current state of the standings. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Law. First off, before we get into MSI qualification and the whole mad situation, I want to remind you about season finals. They happen after the summer split and are the culmination of the entire year of the LEC. To qualify, you either have to have won a split or be one of our top teams in terms of championship points. So for teams like Fnatic, Heretics, and XL, because they are already so far behind anyone in our top 6 in terms of championship points, they need to make really deep runs in summer if they're going to make it to the finals. In fact, they might even need to win the entirety of the summer split. And remember, if you don't make finals, you can't make worlds. Secondly, no. Mad have not locked in MSI yet, and they won't have until the spring finals have been played out. So let's start off with the obvious. If G2 are eliminated, whoever wins spring split will go to MSI as the first seed, and G2 will go as the second seed. It's simple, okay? And now from this point on, everything I say only applies if G2 win the split. So, if Mad win today and G2 win the split, Mad will qualify for MSI because they will have 160 championship points and no one else still in the running could catch them. If Mad lose today and G2 win the split, only Vitality could catch them in terms of championship points. Mad would be at 140, and if Vitality make the finals, even if they come second, they will get 150 points and they would be our second seed to MSI. For all the BDS and Astralis believers, those teams can only make it to MSI now by winning the spring split. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk, and back to you, Law.
Thank you so much, Medic. We will need a couple more of that maybe later. But for now, as we said, Mad are on their way to secure a spot at MSI if they win today. Astralis, on the other hand, are looking to compete in the first playoff in the history of the organization. If they lose, they're out, same as Mad Lions, but I don't think Astralis should be underestimated now.
Yeah, since the rebrand, right, they haven't been able to go this deep. So
Origin.
That's a little bit of a grudge for me, because right at the start they looked good. But no, I think, like, obviously Astralis, like, I don't know. I feel like this is a team that slowly has been warming up because I didn't have huge expectations for them coming into the year. But like especially this split, I've seen a lot out of 1-1-3. I think he's really stepped up for himself. So I'd love to see them move on. Yeah,
and especially since rebuilding, adding leader also to the mix. Broxa, let's talk a bit about the series we had last week against Vitality, because it was the issue on the mid lane mostly for me. Perks and Bo putting on the show. Annie was like a key pick in Vitality's victories. And yeah, it was a bit of struggle on the mid jungle on the side of Astralis, I bet.
I think at this point you could argue that it's relatively easy to draft versus Astralis, at least with what they've shown, because Lida is always going to pick a melee mid laner no matter what. And if you can manage to shut down that style, those assassins, or even bruisers like Yone Aurelia, there's just nothing he can do. And on top of that, 1-1-3 didn't have the greatest series, meaning that the combination of Lida kind of encountered, Perks playing really well, 1-1-3 also getting destroyed by Bo, there was just nothing the rest of the map could do. So they need to show a bit more stability today. I would argue with what we saw yesterday from Mad Lions, it should be an easier task for Astralis, in which case, you know, they should have a good chance.
I think if you write off the second game with the tough invade from 1-1-3 where Bo just gets ridiculously far ahead, game 1, Vitality came in with a really good plan where they invaded at level 1, split the map so they could play towards their Draven lane, and the Lucian Nami from Kobbe Junghoon couldn't actually accomplish anything. That gave them a lot of issues. So I think coming in, Astralis needed a little bit cleaner level 1, spotting out the invade, not falling prey to that, and giving some support down on the bot side. Because Kobbe's been so strong for the team that if you're just faltering and not able to play on that side of the map, that's a really big loss for you.
You say cleaner early game and level 1. I'm interested in seeing what we're gonna see today in the early stages of the game. I expect a lot of blood on the Rift spilled today. When you look at Astralis, the way they play, when you look at the game Mad Lions played against Fnatic yesterday, bloody games on the menu today, Broxa, I bet.
Yeah, there's going to be plenty of fighting for sure. Like both of these teams are extremely aggressive, over-aggressive even. So I can imagine that whoever, you know, gets an early advantage is going to have a really easy time pushing it, just because they're going to keep fighting, keep looking for things, whereas the other side, who falls behind, isn't going to know how to hold back. Like, they're just going to keep forcing.
Yeah, and I think we've definitely seen, too, sort of like the situation around Leader in mid, because when he gets super fed on these champions that he likes to play, he can take over the game, you know, outplaying a side lane, all this stuff. But at the same time, those champions, when they get shut down, they get locked underneath their tower, right? Not a lot of, like, good wave clear unless they're throwing their body into it. And we've seen the side lanes start to fall if Leader gets set behind early.
Yeah, and at the same time, Niski's champion pool, on the other hand, for me, at the very least, is the complete opposite. It's Gragas, it's Shogath, it's more conservative and a bit more slow. And the thing is, I think Niski's champion pool is going to work pretty well into Leader if he does decide to go this route, because how are you going to shut down a Gragas or Shogath? Like, they're just too tanky, it's too easy for him to sit back and wave clear. Yeah. And we're going to need to see the synergy from 113 and Leader come online if he is to go for these early game-oriented picks again. So far, Niski and Elioya have looked like a better duo than the two, so it's going to be a challenge.
When they click really good. We'll see. Mid-jungle is going to be a big central point here in this game, but I also want to attract attention in the bot lane, because for the past weeks, the veteran of this Astralis lineup, Kobbe, has been on fire. Oh, yeah. And I wanted to take a bit of a moment to highlight his long career in the LEC. 364 games, 181 wins. The bot laner with the second most LEC games after Reckless, and with this, one of the most veteran players we have in the league today. Now, let's establish something. I cannot stress enough how difficult it is to stay competitive in a constantly evolving industry and fierce competition as the LEC is.
I know it.
New players will come and go and hope to replace you. People will often remember the few slip-ups you had and forget what you're actually worth and what you can bring to your team. Few players embody this more than Kobbe to this day. Through success, difficult times, he always managed to stay true to himself and his style and deliver the same level of performance, becoming one of the most consistent players in EU history. From beating FPX, who later became world champions, reaching world quarterfinals, facing the biggest powerhouse of Korean esports in history in the likes of SKT, to falling onto the abyss at TSM and almost losing himself in the process. Kobbe always found the drive and motivation to bounce back, and he held on to this consistency and became a pillar of the team he was always playing with. Now, people were counting him out. He always managed to prove his worth, bounce back, shut down the haters, and him alongside Astralis for a long time suffered from the same fate. Astralis is no longer a team to be underestimated in the LEC, and today they are fighting for the first playoff in the history of the organization. Can Kobbe bring it across the finish line today? Medivedi, Kejol, over to you for the game.